designed to stitch from the inside of a shoe to the outside of a shoe. It's got a horn that will go up in the toe of the shoe, and as you stitch, and this sole's too thick, it will travel all the way around and stitch up into the toe area.
It's like they used to do the boat shoes and
right.
stuff, internal stitch.
Right, that's it. But this, you can see it ain't stitching, but anyway, that's how that machine's designed to stitch, and it'll stitch from probably 3/16 of an inch up to a good half easily.
But you gotta have a firm shoe so you can hold it flat.
Right, you can't have no flimsy shoe because this thing will actually crunch the shoe when it locks the stitches. These machines, 4 of them, are outsole stitchers. Right, traditional Goodyear wheel shoes are stitched with. Let me grab a shoe. These machines, when you stitch, you're looking at the bottom of the boot, not the top. And of course, it travels all the way around. Of course, I'm going mighty fast. But the neatest thing with the machine, the way it's designed, whoops, broke the thread. Anyway, watch right here. So awl comes up, makes a hole in the shoe, and then the awl moves the shoe forward, or backward for that case. Then the needle, let me do this, re-thread this thing. All right, awl comes up, makes a hole in the shoe, moves the shoe rearward. Then the needle, this part, follows the awl through the hole. This part loops the thread around the needle. The needle comes up, a lifter grabs the thread off the needle, throws it behind the shuttle, and it makes a stitch. Each stitch is individually locked. And they'll stitch from, I don't know, probably an 1/8 inch, if you get it adjusted correctly, to up near a 1/2 inch. And they've got some heavier machines that will stitch much heavier equipment and much heavier material, but we don't have one. This is a auto sole that you use to nail heels on shoes with or apply pressure, like hammering. This is the nail length. You had just gonna hammer on different materials. Leather uses plate. On rubber, you won't use the plate. And you can dial the length from supposedly 3/8 to 13/8 at 1/2 intervals to get the right length, to get the right clinch in the material. And you can also adjust horn pressure, how high it is, depending on how thick or what type of material you're working with. This is a heel wheel for nailing inside of heel seats. I'm gonna grab something. I'm just gonna show you in this heel. As this thing comes down, it nails in a hole. It's got a peg in the bottom of it, and it pushes the nail up into the bottom of the shoe. That one didn't push too far, it bent.
So when would you use them rather than nail it on top of the shoe or down from the, like turn it upside down and nail it on the last?
Mostly men's Western boots, heel bases.
Putting the heel base on rather than nail it from the top, we go in from the bottom nowadays. It's just faster.
A little faster. I wouldn't say it's any more secure.
Is it more accurate?
If I'm in a hurry, I don't mind using a heel wheel, but I still prefer to do it the old-fashioned way. I have more control that way. So this is an option. I don't always use it. And this machine is real similar to this machine. It uses a smaller gauge wire, and it's for like ladies' heels, much lighter work. Same thing. Just different applications. This machine is nothing more than they call it a nibbler. And it's got a guard on it, so imagine you had a heel of a shoe and you had the new heel on there and you had some excessive material. Instead of taking a knife and trimming it off, let me hit the switch again. Sorry about it. Put this thing in there and just nibble away. Try to be able to shoot how much material you want it to remove before you start finishing. Look at those.
Save you a lot of time.
Trimmings. Gnaws it in pieces, cuts it out. And that's much faster than a knife. So I guess if you lost some time doing it that way, you pick it up over here. They call them shoe jacks, and they have no elevation changes on them. 365 degrees, you got different lasts. A men's shoe last, men's boot last, ladies shoe last, ladies boot last. We've got multiples of some of these, like the 2 shoes and the 2 men's boot jacks, boot last. Depending on what you're working on, which one you would use, down to a child's last. And by looking at them, you can see the child's has been used the least. The most used is going to be the 4 men's last. Mostly do Western boots and men's shoes. Excuse the mess I made here. On this end of the machine, we've got a Landis 5-in-1 that's got, well, they say 5 purposes. I'm not sure.
So if anybody knows what the 5 purposes are, tell us.
I'm going to tell you what I've been told. First one is skiving a sole to like do half soles. Instead of having to grind all this off or take a skiving knife and cut it off, this is much faster. And then you can cut strips from that width to this width. I think that may be the second purpose. And then the third purpose would be if you were going to trim, imagine this being a welt and this being a sole, you can take this guard and go right beside the sole and trim a lot of material off much faster than you can do it with a knife. Sort of to the nibbler, just a little more controlled. And then 1, 2, 3. So I can't come up with 4. But if you had a new sole on a boot and you had placed the sole in the boot, had it secured to really finalize and get a good bond on the welt, you would run it around this press, like so. So that's 4 uses. I'm not sure what the 5th one is. I've been told that if you had a half sole on the shoe, you could remove enough of the original sole to skive the other side, but that would be, I think it's 4-in-1. Of course, we got hammers. These are called crisping hammers. We got smooth face hammer, and this was a knurled face. This is a knurled face. We have re-knurled, I don't know how many times. And this is a French hammer. And pretty much the main difference is the back of it. I've been doing this all my life pretty much, and we never had a French hammer until about 3 years ago. I do like the extra weight the hammer's got. Kind of lessens your effort. And then we have, I'm not sure what the trade people call them. I call them, what do I call these things?
Heel pullers.
Yeah, we use them to remove men's heels. Grab a heel like so and just roll it off the shoe. A couple of those, crowfoot tack puller. Dykes, dealing those pliers, 9-inch grinds. What do you call these? I forgot the name for them.
No, a lot of different ones.
They got a number on them. Anyway, they make some of these much shorter. If you're trying to remove heels inside of the nails inside of a shoe, the short ones don't give you enough leverage. So we use the bigger ones. Several different types of knives. That was a lot more material in the blade at one time. It's been used for a long time. Heel remover tool. If you got a shoe on the last one, want to remove the heel, you can put that under the heel and pry it off.
Remove the heel base.
Well, you can remove
For
like
the base.
half heels, whole heels, and then like on boots, we use it. Mostly we do
You're gonna have to come up.
Western boots. All right, they'll quit.
Kind of an average, just an overview of a shop. You know, you've got a parts machine. Things are not always available. McKay Stitcher. These were made, I believe, 1938, Model G. I can't remember when the Model L was. I think it's in the 50s, and these might have been the early 50s, maybe the 40s. It's a Model L. If we go down here, so you got a heat control for wax pot, as sometimes they used to run their thread through a heated wax pot in here, but you've got your thread will go through this pot here to where you'd put oil in it, or you could do your hot wax, stuff like that. So you got your oil in here too. And then these machines do require a certain amount of maintenance. You got these old oil pots, they'll have a wick in them, and this one's a little bit dry right now, but you need to be oiling these things every day. All these little places all over these machines, and there's still people that rebuild these, and they can still get parts for them. There's a lot of moving parts in these machines. That's where the bobbin goes. Then of course you've got different types of half soles and some neolites, neoprene stuff. You've got some with or without tread, leather half soles, different sizes. And then of course you end up with your whole soles. You got different types and sizes of them. You got you some work boot treads, Vibram soles, all the way up to, contrary to popular belief, you can order and replace the soles on a good many of your work boots and stuff like that. Lots of different types of things. So you can see people have to have a lot of selection, and you've got midsoles in here too. Some of your boots will have multiple soles. This is a clamping machine where we used to clamp down dog collars years ago, and you'd stamp out names and addresses for people. Different types of things to your glue in shoes and stuff like that. You stick this on there and put that in the heel of a shoe, because some of your shoes nowadays have a lot of glue down stuff in them. Different heel bases. You get a pair of these are like the tips or top lifts for ladies' high heel shoes. There, just about the time it starts to wear down, you take them in and get them replaced. Lots of different sizes of them. Lots of different sizes of heels for shoes. Those would be made out of Vibram. So you can see that you'd have a lot of different types. Of course, we look at the auto solar machines and the heel machines, which you could use to press or put nails pointing up, squish down. Another one. This is a finishing machine here. So you got your black polish application brush, and then this is your buffing brush. Same over here. You'll put your polish on one and you buff off with the other. And this, you, like we said in a different video, you can take this and that spinning right there. This will put friction against this like a brake pad and heat it up. And then you take your either your brown or black wax, and of course you got different ones of these. You put that on there, and once it got hot, that melted wax would be on there, and you can run that around the edges of the shoe soles to make it nice and shiny. Different inks, polishes. Then of course you got your different papers. And then here's your patching machines and stuff like this. Right, and there's a Singer, made, looks like Great Britain. See if they'll show which one's on here. We got a 29K60, very popular. So you can sew in different directions on this. And it is electric, or you could have them foot pedal, but this actually has an electric motor back there, and I think this may have been made in 1929 or thereabout. But as you move this, you can see how this foot on this machine would go and put a knot in there so you can sew your leather. And back here, that lets the pressure foot up and down. The pressure foot actually feeds it, so these will go inside the gloves and things like that. So, pretty handy old machine. One of them I'm not gonna get, or I haven't got it yet. And that is the magic of having one of those.
And this one's electric.
Yeah.
As old as it is, it's electric.
Yeah, yeah. And I have used them with foot pedals, and
I don't
they
like
work
the
great.
trebles.
Yeah, there's
That's
one
a
right there.
machine over there.
I've sewn with that one too.
This is a sewing awl. And what we stitch with this sewing awl, we make a lock stitch that's similar to the machine. Well, it is identical to the machine stitch. Let me take this and show you how to do this. Find something soft to go through. That's too low. Way too much work. Give me just a second. I'll get some. Get your hole, pull your thread, pull one side completely through, line your materials up, make a hook, make a loop, put it over the hook, pull it through, thread back through the loop, and when you pull that down, well, you pull all the way through that, it's cardboard. But you continue doing that and every stitch is locked.
You center your lock up
In the middle of the material.
in the middle of the material.
And then when you get finished, you back up a couple stitches and kind of secure it and snip it off. Maybe put a little peak to it. About that. This is, I'm not sure what they actually call it. I call it a scratcher. It's,
Some people call it a rough and brush. It's basically a piece of carding material that they put on this, like you'd use for carding out wool and stuff like that to get all the strands in the same direction. But they'll put strips on that, and you can suede material or rough it up, fuzz it up.
but if you want the rough material up to get better adhesive, like you cement, this thing will get you raise the surface area for better bonding. Better than, I've never seen a machine that would do this. If you wanted to cement this piece of leather to something, you raise that material up, you get a lot larger bonding surface, which makes for a stronger bond.
So it puts a little bit of fuzz on the surface instead of that smooth surface.
And then we have eyelets, buckles, rivets, rivets of numerous sizes, colors. We've even got something, we hadn't used a set of these in years, they call it a horseshoe tap. Put it on the heel of a shoe, keep you from wearing your heels out. I'd rather replace the heels than put the tap.
They'd be pretty slick too.
It would be rough on laminate and hardwood floors too. And I wish I had a thing to do for you. Ladies, high heel shoes, the little heel on the bottom of them.
So what advice do you have for women that see that in a pair of shoes? If they send an extra pair of these with a pair of new shoes,
Throw them away. Time you need them, it's going to be dry rotted, unusable more than likely, but you have a hard time removing this pin out of the shoes. We got a machine to pull the pins out of the shoe.
you wouldn't say keep those and bring them in, and just the first sign of wear, you can take them in and have them replaced by somebody professional.
You could if you bring them in soon enough. But these come in dial pins, small, large, medium, and they're color coded, and then you got different size lifts, tips, depending upon the shoe and the type heel. And all these can be cut down, trimmed down to fit the size of the heel. So it's got to at least be big enough to cover it. If it's big enough to cover it, we can make it fit. Lemon wood pegs.
Lemon, is it made out of real lemon trees?
Yeah, what they call them, lemon wood pegs. I'm not sure about real lemon trees, but when this stuff gets wet, it swells. Like in a leather sole, if you use them to hold the sole on the boot, when the leather gets wet, the peg swells up with it to hold it secure until it dries back out.
So they used to use those when they didn't have nails.
Exactly. And there's still some shoes, boots, mostly boots, that will come with lemon wood pegs in it. And an array of snaps and fasteners and stuff of that nature that we keep around here to try to help people fix items of which that we can repair.
And what are these? You got something here.
These are plates, like nylon, plastic plates, guard plates. Put them on the edge of your shoe heels to protect your heels. If people ask for them, I will install them, but I think it's a complete waste of money. I don't try to sell them to them, but I will use them. Earlier, we had a conversation about punches. So what was it, like 1990?
1999, we were using punches.
All right, so you were working here what year?
Well, back in the 80s through, I don't
You
know.
asked about the punch, do I still have it? It started out like that one. I don't use it for a nail punch anymore. I told you I still had it. But these are actually some type of... Jamie, you know what these things are?
They
come
come
out-
some kind of drill bit or something.
They come out of cotton pickers.
Oh, a burr or something.
It comes with a gear on it that spins to pull cotton off of cotton plants. Ain't that right?
Yeah.
I wish I had one of those.
It's a homemade punch.
Exactly. And they're very durable.
The other one's up there somewhere. Yeah, that one.
And we got different nail sets for whatever purpose.
We've got one that's still got the gear on it somewhere.
It's at my house. Yeah. I think in my toolbox at home. But different types of cements, depending on what you're cementing together. And then we got
So now, if you're gluing something flexible, what kind of cement do you use on a flexible part of a shoe?
a flexible cement.
So you wouldn't use something like crazy glue that says cyanoacrylate on it, because this instant shoe repair stuff, if it says that, that's just crazy glue and it's going to crystallize hard. So that would only be used for what?
Well, you could probably reattach a heel as long as the heel doesn't flex, but the sole of a shoe flexes.
So on a hard bottom, like ladies' heeled shoe, maybe stick just the heel on, but nothing else.
Right.
And then, so you got acetone, and then what is this?
Man, that stuff comes from overseas. I don't know what that is.
So adhesive for plastic. So for what kind of plastics are you going to use? Something like?
Urethane.
Okay, so your polyurethane and urethane plastics, you'll use something like that, whereas a lot of your other stuff won't stick.
And on most, and this is contact cement.
Just like you buy in a hardware store.
Pretty much the same stuff.
And that'll stay flexible.
Right. And it won't harden and it won't dry out. If there's any downfall to it, if you get in a lot of heat, it's heat activated and heat deactivated. So it gets hot enough, it will just...
So your thinner is going to be toluene for that, is what you would use. And
Right.
I didn't use a whole lot of MEK. Now MEK, I mean, you can see right here, it's pretty hazardous. So your regular contact cement is generally, might be a little bit different than this because a lot of it's not going to have the MEK in it.
This is thinner for
Okay.
that cement, which is MEK.
Okay, so they're using MEK for this particular stuff here.
And used to, we could even thin our old cement we used with acetone. But
Yeah. So it's going to depend on what kind of thinner. This is probably not exactly the same thing you're going to find in your big box stores or hardware stores, but you can look
it's
see.
as similar as you're gonna find.
Yeah.
If I run out and don't have this, I go to the hardware store and buy some contact cement to get us through till we get what we normally use.
And that works just as fine.
Yeah, so we got lots of heels, different sizes, which cowboy boot heels from that size. Oh, wait a minute.
That's a 15.
Yeah, from that size down to, well, that's some actually smaller than this one.
It's a size 5.
And all of those, none of them are exact fits. So they have to put them on the boot, and you have to trim the heel to fit the heel base. And men's dress shoes, they call these top lifts. We say lifts for short.
And that might be something you could reattach with crazy glue on a hard, something like that, maybe.
Yeah. But now normally we use the regular
Contact
cement. Contact
okay.
cement. But these come in primarily 3 thicknesses, depending on what was on the shoe original, what you put back on it. And then a change in shoe styles. These are called half heels. They're pretty much 1/2 of an inch thick. Then they make a loafer heel, which is pretty much 5/8 of an inch thick. And then they make a whole heel, which I probably don't have one of them even here. Well, that may be one right there. Yeah, that's a whole heel. Used to, these were as common as those lifts. The lifts were uncommon. Now, most every shoe's built with a lift on it. So we very rarely use these heels anymore.
So these heels here, I'm not seeing washers in them. Would these be attached with auto solar?
They would. They have a plastic core in them.
So it's a hard plastic core.
Hard plastic core that the nails bite into.
Okay.
Unlike the cowboy boot heels with metal washers.
All right, so we'll have another video where that stuff's already been covered in, so this will kind of piece itself together. What are the wood shoe?
These are shoe trees. Slide that in your shoe, snap it down, it holds the shape of your shoe. Some of them are cedar. I think this one's actually maple.
So you might have those in a bunch of pairs of shoes in your closet if you were maybe a rich person or something and didn't want them to kind of collapse.
Right. Some people think they're shoe stretchers, but
They're not.
No.
And we went over shoe stretchers.
and but we used to use those a lot when we were dyeing shoes. We'd hold them up to shape and then give us that handle, something to hang on to. But we don't dye shoes anymore. We just
So what's the black things with the levers on them?
those are
Cobbler rivet setters or something? Or what are they?
eyelet setters.
Eyelet setters.
It depends on which eyelet. You got several different attachments you can put in here and change this, and you get it and mash her down.
So that'd be like the eyelets in a tennis shoe where your laces would go through or something like that. You put a metal supported hole on a piece of leather.
What? This thing ain't broke, Jim. There it go.
Something like that.
It's not going to do it correctly, but I'll give you an idea. No, I won't need it. There it goes. You just roll it back, let it bite into the material to hold it in place.
Okay.
And there's several different types, several different sizes. Jay? You finish? We done done everything?
I went over it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the only thing I haven't, I guess one other thing, and I can edit this later maybe. So what's this for? What is this part called here with the top lifts? I didn't go over the top lift stuff.
This is a trimmer. Heel trimmer, sole trimmer. This stone is designed to sharpen the sole trimmer or the heel trimmer. We pretty much use carbide tip now, which means you have to send it out and have it sharpened by someone with equipment to do it with.
All right, probably about it. I don't know.
Whole lot more expensive for the carbide, but it's much faster, much more durable, and I think it's worth its money.
Last not long too.
Yep. What else?
You'll go over here, John?
I didn't.
I went over all the machines in here, I think. So
Okay.
it's probably about it. What kind of thread do you use for shoes? I mean, where do you get this stuff from? Or if somebody was gonna, if they bought one of these machines, where would they get this thread?
I get mine from a shoe finder. And there's several of them around the country, but we primarily buy from one out of New Orleans, Louisiana. They're just about 2 hours down the road. We can order today and get it tomorrow. But that's a nylon thread. You put a different thread in that machine that don't have the tensile strength, the machine itself will break the thread.
So it's a 1 ounce nylon thread then.
Well, that's the weight of the spool. The actual size of the thread, they used to call it DE. And I can't tell you what DE means, but it's a size in thread. Some garment code or something. I don't know what it is.
So that's pretty much all the information we can give on that stuff.
Well, if I knew more, I'd tell you more. So we've been here a long time. We do everything from ladies' tips.
How many years has this shop been going?
63.
And how old is these machines?
This one's a 86. It's probably the newest one in the place. And the oldest one that I know for sure on the date was made in 1938.
That'd be the Model G Landis.
Right.
This should be right there. And then the other ones were probably made in what, the 50s, late 40s?
I don't know.
Early 40s.
Somebody told me once that this was a 1921 model, which means if that's the case, it's 101 years old, but I don't believe it. I really don't believe it.
Probably wouldn't be.
I don't think it is.
But if it would, it would have a serial number of like 2471283.
Did you see it?
But other patents pending, if it was made around that time period, it probably have a patent date on it. But
I really don't know.